be they human or otherwise. We are so very glad to have our own Reverend Cynthia back with us after a few weeks away, and she's going to share with us her message entitled, A Mother of a Year. Jenny is our Zoom host, and Zoe is co-hosting, and Reverend Cynthia will also be our chalice and candle lighter. And thanks for doing all of this, Reverend Cynthia. Super appreciated. You see some contact information on your screen. These are the best ways to get in touch with folks if you need answers to your questions. Texting or calling Reverend Cynthia at 859-221-3034 is the best way to reach her, or you can also reach out to our admin, Chris, at gnuuc@gnuuc.org. Our chalice lighting words today are from Mary J. Harrington. And I believe that is Waffles helping us with the chalice today. So our chalice lighting is entitled, Come Together in Praise and Thanksgiving. We come together today in praise and thanksgiving for the gift of life itself. Someone gave birth to us, and some of us have given birth. All of us have been mothered in our time. All of us have mothered. Let our time today be one of recognition. We arrive from so many places, joy and delight, wistfulness and longing and worry, unmet needs and unfulfilled dreams, loss and sorrow, loss and emptiness, loss and regret. All that life is made of, mothers are made of too. Today we sing the songs of so many mothers who are single parents, foster parents, mothers who relinquished their young out of necessity, mothers who found their heart in adoption, mothers who left their children in 1,000 ways, mothers who rejoice and mothers who mourn. We sing the songs of the grandmother, the auntie, the classroom teacher, the Sunday school teacher, the babysitter, the neighbor with endless cookies and time. There is a kind of love we cannot live without. It is never too late, no matter our age or situation. We sing a song of gratitude for all the moments of being known, being cherished, being found. Please join me in reading our covenant. We covenant together to make a welcoming community, to walk together in the way of truth and love, to seek the life of the Spirit as it is known by each person, to support each other in thought, word, and deed as we work to build a better world. Our opening hymn this morning is Ancient Mother. Please enjoy and feel free to sing along.
Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, tears.
For our Time for All Sages, we have a video from Romaine Pennis showing this one earth we all share. Of course, he's French and his name isn't Romain like the lettuce, but Romain Pen. The French speakers, forgive me. Um, our special collection for May is in lieu of our Share the Plate program. We ask you to please donate to the Minister's Discretionary Fund, which will give me the ability to help those in financial support for a variety of needs. And this month, we have a Ukrainian refugee whom we are helping to support. Your generous funds will be used to ensure that he has housing, food, and other needs taken care of as he learns about the United States and settles into his new life here. And it's a wonderful thing that we can do even while we're not gathering in person just yet. This screen shows the variety of ways that you have to be able to donate. As always, your support is very appreciated, very much appreciated. Our reading and meditation today is from my meditation teacher, Catriona Reed, and she's the partner of Michelle. Many of you heard Michelle speak about her art some months ago when she did a service with us. Catriona is a person with whom I first studied Buddhist meditation about 26 years ago in California, and I've had the opportunity to sit with them on Zoom for this past year. She's a woman of transgender experience, having lived and taught as a man for the first part of her life. And I've only known her as Catriona. She teaches Buddhist meditation. She was ordained by Thich Nhat Hanh. And she and Michelle have a beautiful retreat center in the high desert of Southern California called Manzanita Village. And they teach many other modalities as well. This is a meditation that I thought really spoke to the idea today of the earth being our mother and all of us being connected that I wanted to touch upon for this Mother's Day. So here's Catriona. Breathe, relax, and listen.
Has been with me for the last few days as a riddle, as a koan, as a basic truth. We speak of Pachamama, or the Buddha, or Tara, or God, the Great Spirit, whatever you choose to name that quality, that essence that calls you, we speak of it as something outside of ourselves. I think of Pachamama because that's the work we've been, or that's the language of the work we've been doing these several years. Pachamama is a Quechua and Amara word from the Andes, and it means Gaia. It means Mother Earth. You can transpose that in whatever way you like. Dharma, the essence that you recognize as your life, your capacity for healing, your capacity for surrendering to life in all its forms. And we invoke, or we think of that as something outside ourselves, but it's not outside. It's within you. It is you. And so often we're caught in our constructions, our stories, our opinions, our decisions, our belief systems, even our values. And yet all of that is extra. So let's begin as we sit. Let's begin as you breathe, to feel the breath at the center of your body, in your heart, in your solar plexus. Life itself. Before and beyond your thinking, your notions of who you are in this world. And then let that infuse your whole body, your whole being, spreading upwards into your head. So your head no longer takes precedence. All the thinking, all the stories about what's good and bad or right and wrong. Because inside you there is a capacity for trusting this. Whatever your experience might be, might have been, whatever your expectations might be about your life, your body. And imagine in your own way the vastness of life, of living beings that surround you. And perhaps by living beings we can include non-sentient beings, all the objects, all the elements of your house, your life, infused with the essence and the spirit of living beings. Because even your computer, your phone, derives from ancient forests laid down 100 million years ago or more. And so it's all life. And as life, it's part of you, part of the flow through that is you, not separate. And the truth of it is the truth of your being. The unraveling and the revealing of the infinite possibilities of being truth, of being Pachamama, of being Dharma, of being love, of being freedom. All these words that have no meaning other than as expressions of who you are. this life set up as a gift to you, an opportunity for you to come home to who you are.
Coming back to this place, this time, it's nice to travel inward and remember our true selves. Mother's Day is interesting. We can talk about Mother Earth, and yeah, the Earth is a mother in many ways, and also I think we have many mothers in our lives. I didn't have a proper mother really that I can recall. Of course, I had a biological mother, but I was too young to remember her. And yet, there have been so many people who were mothers to me, male and female, who not only nurtured me, but also scolded me. And maybe we could think of some of those people in our own hearts right now. Maybe you have been those people to others, whether you are actual biological parent or not, and expand the idea of mothering. Here's a poem from Mary Oliver. I thought the earth remembered me. She took me back so tenderly, arranging her dark skirts, her pockets full of lichens and seeds. I slept as never before, stone on the riverbed. Nothing between me and the white fire of the stars but my thoughts, and they floated light as moths among the branches of the perfect trees. All night I heard the small kingdoms breathing around me, the insects and the birds who do their work in the darkness. All night I rose and fell as if in water, grappling with a luminous doom. By morning, I had vanished at least a dozen times into something better. Our theme this month is stories, and most of us grew up with some kinds of stories. Who told the stories? I mean, often it was a mother or a mother figure of some sort, or a grandmother. But these fairy tales from the past, and even more recent stories that are told to children, they often have either this bad mother. Sometimes it's a stepmother, um, and or this perfect mother, an all loving, all giving mother who sacrificially raised her children with unconditional love. And many times, this too good to be true mother is missing or dead. It took me a long time to realize that this is because you can't be a real person and be all good, all loving, and all nurturing. These are the kinds of stories that are deeper than our individual memories. They're collective stories. They're found in every culture in some way. Mother stories. They Jungian terms, they're the archetypes. They're the collective unconscious. Archetypes can be harmful when we project them onto ourselves and onto others. That we have to be this perfect parent or mother, or that we expect it of others. As Catriona said, most of our beliefs are made up of our stories. Now, it's not like we live something and then we tell a story about it. I mean, that might happen, but we also tell these stories and then we live our life trying to live up to those stories that we believe are true, right? And it can be limiting when we examine them and assess which ones make sense. We can begin to choose the ones that empower and inspire us rather than those which limit us. If we can acknowledge that every mother has within her a bad mother and a good mother, we can become more integrated and more whole. And for sure, Jung would say that every mother has a bad mother and a good mother within her. Every kid has a story about the worst thing their mother ever did, which they like to tell to embarrass you. Well, I know my kids do. My Casey, my oldest, he likes to tell this story about when he was in Cub Scouts, and he was about 7 or 8, I guess. And I was the Cub Scout leader, and he was being so obnoxious. And that's the way it is, if you're the Girl Scout or Cub Scout leader or Scout leader. It's not just Boy Scouts now; it's just Scouts, because you can, which is great. But he just kept being extremely obnoxious and demanding, and he really wasn't that kind of kid. But I couldn't deal with it because I couldn't get the other kids, organized or anything. I sent him to his room. Well, he kept running back out of his room. So finally, I took this chair and I slammed it. His room was down at the end of the hallway, and I slammed the chair halfway down the hallway, do not come past this chair. Well, how he tells the story is that I threw a chair at him because he was running out of the room, and I was putting the chair there, and he ran into it. And he will always say, "Remember when you threw that chair at me?" Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there were absolutely moments when I was probably a bad mother. I was very angry, or I just was not all loving and all nurturing. So for Jung, the process of becoming whole, which he calls individuation, it's a journey. Now, in Buddhist thought, the process of becoming enlightened, it's somewhat different. There's a shade of difference. It takes some thinking to integrate the two, Buddhism and Jungian philosophy. But enlightened is recognizing, essentially recognizing our non-being. How can someone be both a Jungian and a Buddhist? Well, as one realizes their essential nature, finally she understands she's connected with all things, or he is connected with all things. So as we individuate, realize who we truly are, and we continue on that path of individuation, we realize we are connected with everything. Whether we recognize it or not, in the West, we live with deeply entrenched Judeo-Christian values. And I think most of you realize that. That's why we're here. These permeate our culture in ways that are really subtle. You don't have to be, a part of Judaism or Christianity to be affected and infected by these. They influence our worldview, our values, the body views that we have, our sexuality, our gender views. They form deeply ingrained attitudes toward good and evil, spirit and matter, sexuality, spirituality, and they color our whole view of reality because they're dualistic. Christianity and Judaism view the world as dualism. They view dualism, in other words, good or bad. And so we carry that over into this mothering notion, all good or all bad. So perhaps to look at the COVID pandemic and this year that we've been through, and I just called it a mother of a year to make a comparison. Maybe this will help explain what I'm trying to say. So this pandemic for me, was it all bad? I mean, certainly we would have a choice. We would prefer that it did not happen. No one would have chosen for this to happen. But in its happening, I started to think about it, how it was like a mother. It became a womb in a sense. And if not a womb, maybe you could think of it as a laboratory. In the Jungian process of individuation, one embarks upon a hero's journey. Now, if we look back on this past year plus of the pandemic, and we consider the story that we want to tell about it, maybe not today, maybe not next week, but maybe years from now, or the stories that may be told long in the future, we might be able to see that we went through many of these stages of the hero's journey. Liminality, or bardo, this not knowing, this just complete confusion and not knowing what's going to happen. The threshold of death, stagnation, separation, the unknown, fear, flight, even the descent into the underworld. All these are archetypes that can be found in myths as old as humankind. The remarkable thing about this pandemic, if it was a hero's journey, is that we traversed this journey without leaving our homes. One. And two, while we traveled this path, we knew and we were aware that everyone on the planet was somewhere along the journey at the same time. There really has never been anything like this before. So now for some people in some places, there's a glimpse, a glimmer of the end of the journey. I'm not saying we're there, but there's renewal, which comes at the culmination of the hero's journey. And the journey isn't a line. You know, if you look at any of the diagrams of the hero's journey, it's a circle. So you continue on around and, you know. The threshold of return, the vision of wholeness. We don't know exactly what life is going to be like after the pandemic, because I think we know it's not going to be the same as it was. And the pandemic is with us. It's still very much with us. We're weary. We're lonely. We're not the people that we were. I know I'm not. But can we imagine a story? Can we at least imagine together a story told by those who come after us of a time when we survived, when we came through even more whole, more connected, more compassionate than we were before? You know, someone once said, you know, the spiritual journey is really becoming the hero of your own story. And I love that. I don't know how many of you are on Facebook, but those who are friends with Rachel, Charles' daughter. Is Charles here today? I don't see. Oh, yeah, Charles is here. She has some little monarch butterflies that she got from Jenny's. It's the most beautiful story. I love it. Just, she has the little, what are they now? Caterpillars now? Or are they larvae? I don't know, but she keeps posting the story of how she's nurturing these little eggs that she found, that she's going to get them through to monarch butterflies, because monarch butterflies are endangered. And that care, that compassion, that attention to detail, you know, that's the kind of thing that Jean's, you're right below me in the lineup here. So I see Jean's attention to his garden. And it's not just that he pays such exquisite attention, he shares it. No, it's like I'm sitting here in my bedroom half the time because my allergies are so bad, and I'm feeling sorry for myself. And here comes the pictures from Jean's garden, you know, or birds that come to my window. It's like, these are things, I just go day by day, but people are taking one another through this with, maybe it sounds silly, or maybe it sounds small, but it's not small. It's so when I say a mother of a year, I hope it makes sense, because it's been both brutal, brutal, but also it's forced us to care for one another. So what this year has asked of us is our attention, forced our attention. It's asked a lot of everyone. And look, I'm kind of whining here about myself being in my room, but I know many people have had much more to contend with than I. So even beyond the physical, the economic, the social, the psychological demands that this year has made, it has commanded our attention. Like a stern mother, not a bad mother, but a good enough mother. It hasn't coddled us, far from that, but it has set us down, put us in timeout, if you will, so that we might see some things. The effects that we wrought upon the earth. We can't not see some of this stuff right now. How our own negligence and greed have contributed to environmental destruction. The climate crisis, indeed, the pandemic itself. In time out, it was harder to look away from injustice and racism, to be complacent about the failures of government and leadership. There are ways in which people have been galvanized by this time, and ways which I think we have yet to see. So most of all, I believe that many of us have felt, when we've allowed ourselves to feel it, I don't want to sugarcoat it, because I know an overwhelming feeling is, can I just get back to, hanging out with my friends and having a drink? But felt deeply our connection to humanity, to people rich and poor, leaders of nations who also got COVID, powerful people, humble people, people throughout time who also were hit by plagues, people in history who had similar things happen to them. Now we know by tragedies and by loss. Just as our own mothering and caring for one another won't be fully understood until we're fully mature. I said to my son, the one that I threw the chair at this morning, I said, you'll never know how much I love you. And I said, but maybe you do know now that you have a child. He has a stepdaughter. And he goes, yeah, now I know. And when we're fully mature, I think we will understand our mothers. But just as that won't be understood, neither will this time of isolation and separation be seen clearly. But we can trust. We can trust. That's what Catriona says all the time. Trust this. You can trust this. We can trust that as all things have the capacity to teach us, so this time does as well. Amen. And now we have our last song. The earth is our mother. Please sing along as you're able.
The earth is our mother, we must take care of her. The earth is our mother, we must take care of her. Hey Anna ho Anna, hey Yan Yan, hey Anna ho Anna, hey Yan Yan. Her sacred ground
We'll now be turning off our YouTube live stream as we enter the sacred time of sharing of joys and concerns. Thank you